Hi guys, this is me Amok. In this video series, we'll be looking into object-oriented programming topics in a detailed way. But in this video, we'll just focus on the introductory part. We'll just try to understand what is object-oriented programming itself. So yeah, let's get started. So yeah, what is it all about? What do you mean by object-oriented programming? So in a simple language, object-oriented programming is just a way of writing your computer programs where you just want to represent the real-world objects into your computer programs, right? So it's just a way of writing computer programs that focuses on organizing code around real-world objects. The real-world objects may be anything. You can consider a car, an animal, a person, any real-world object, whatever you see in this world, right? You can try to describe that real world object in your computer program. Let's imagine you have a toy car, and the toy car itself is a real world object, right? And the car has certain things. The car has certain properties, like it has its own color, size and weight, right? And it can also perform actions like it can move forward, it can turn, or it can stop, right? So in object oriented programming, we treat the car as an object. And as we looked into, an object is a combination of properties, like it has its own color, size and weight. These things are called as properties. And an object is a combination of data, that is properties, and the actions an object can do. In our case, a car can move forward, turn or stop, right? And you may just ask me, like, why do anyone want to represent this sample toy car in any programming language, right? Like, is there any real world example or real world application where we can try to understand the object oriented programming topic in a better way? Yes, of course we can try to understand with the help of example of any e-commerce website. So I'm sure that every one of you would have landed on any source of e-commerce website. So whenever we land on any e-commerce website, right, we tend to see a lot of products in front of us, right? So we can consider the product itself irrespective of the type of product or brand. We can just understand that product terminology in an e-commerce website as an object, you know and as we have learned, that object has two things: one is properties, another one is actions, right? So properties of the product may be the title of the product, price, description, brand, image and whatnot, right? And actions which can be performed on product object are: you can update the price, update the description, update the number of stock units left, and you can frame your own product concept in for your purpose, right? So we have looked into an object, and we have learned that object is made up of two things: one is properties, another one is actions. Okay. So to represent the real world objects, whatever we see in this world, right? To represent the real world objects in code, we have to understand the topic of class and objects. So yeah, we have looked into what are objects and the properties and actions of the object. Let's try to understand a class. So class in object oriented programming is a template engine, or just a template that defines or generates the properties and actions of a particular object. With the help of a class, you can create any number of objects. Okay. So yeah, let's try to understand with the help of code, how do you write a class, and with the help of class, and how do you generate the objects. So yeah guys, let's try to code the class and objects whatever we have learned with the help of programming language. I'll be using Java as the programming language, but you can use any language which you are comfortable with. The only thing is that particular programming language should support the object oriented programming topics. Okay, so I've created a file name called as car.java. Let's try to create a class with the name car. To create a class with the name car, we just need to use the class keyword and the name of the class, that is car, and opening and closing uh, flower brackets. Inside this, we have to define the properties and the actions for a particular object. So we have defined, we have learned, right, a class is a template which defines the properties and actions for an object. So we have to define those properties and actions in this opening and closing flower brackets for this particular car. Okay, so to define the properties, we can just define the properties the way you define any variable. So let's say there is a property name called as a brand for a car of type string, can be defined with the help of string as the data type and the brand as the property name. And I'll just have another property called as color, which will be again of the type string. So I won't complicate with a lot of properties by adding a lot of properties over here, but you can have any properties of a car in your code. And the not only string can be the type, it can be any data type, that is array or int or float or boolean, anything. Okay, so we have defined these two properties, but yeah, to create the actions can be created with the help of functions. The functions which are written in class are also called as methods. Okay, so let's try to create two actions. One is drive and stop, because a car can be driven and car can be stopped, right? So those two actions can be performed by a car, right? So we'll try to have two functions. One is drive. Okay, another one is stop. Okay, so again, function drive, I'll just try to print some console output statements. Car is driven. Okay, and for stop also I'll try to print some console statements. Car has stopped. Okay, so yeah, this is the way how you can create the properties and the actions. Okay, so this is the class template by which we can create the objects. So let's try to understand how to create the objects. So to do that, I have to create a main function in Java, and inside the main function I'll be creating the objects for the class car. Okay, to create an object we have to use the class name. Here in our case is the car, and the variable name, or the object name. I'll just take Slavia. I'll just take Civic, and to create an object we will be using a special keyword called as new and a constructor call. So for now let's just don't focus on this car with the function call. This is actually a constructor call. We'll try to address what do you mean by constructor and all in next video, but basically this is how you create an object. So we have an object name called as Civic. Okay, so the car here, you can refer this as a data type. I mean, this is also called as the user defined data type, and Civic is an object name, and new and the constructor call. By this, an object will be created when we run this program, and you can set the properties, or you can call the actions of this particular Civic object with the help of dot operator. Okay, so to set the properties, because I've not set any properties, right? So I'll be using the object name, that is Civic dot, as I said, there's a dot operator dot, and you can see brand, color, clone, drive. So these are the things which we have defined. Just don't focus on the below things, just focus on these top four, because these four we have written inside the class. So I want to set this brand type, so I'll use civic dot brand equal to, and it is of type string, so I'll be assigning a string here. I'll be using Honda. Civic brand is Honda, and civic dot color also we have defined. Okay, COLUR, just COLOUR, my bad. Okay, color is of type string, so I'll be assigning a string with the value of black. Okay, so this is the thing, like we have defined Civic object, I mean the car object of name Civic. We have defined these properties also here. Okay, So to call any action, again with the help of dot operator itself, we have to call, civic is an object name, dot drive is the the action or the method, right? So civic is the object name, dot operator and drive, and civic is the object name and dot operator and stop is another action method which we have written in the class. Okay, so on line number 18 you can see this is the syntax to create an object, and here on line number 20 and 21 this is the syntax to change the properties or to define the properties of civic object. And these on line number 24 and 25 are this is the syntax to call the action methods whichever defined in a car class, or whichever action methods are associated with this car class. Okay, so let's try to run this. I'll save this file, and if I just run it, I can see the console output here. So the car is driven and car has stopped. This is basically a simple program I've written in Java just by creating one class and adding two parameter properties and two methods, also known as actions. You can have any number of properties or any number of action methods, and you can call them inside the main method. So I have created only one object, car civic, but you can create another object with the help of the same keyword car. I can create polo, new car, and you can define polo dot brand equal to Volkswagen. So you can do this thing. You can create a number of objects and you can define a number of properties, and you can call those particular objects action methods or functions. Okay, so actually assigning the properties with the help of this particular syntax whenever you create an object is not a recommended way, because I'll say if there are here there are only two properties, this is easier to assign those values. But what if there are 20 to 30 properties for a particular class? So every time you create an object and defining those property values is again a time consuming thing. And what if there are many objects? For every object you have to do that, right? So to avoid that, there's a concept called as constructor, and here also I said, right, when new and constructor call. So there's a topic called as constructor, which we'll be looking into, which we'll be looking in the next video. So yeah, there you'll come to know what is the recommended way to define the properties of the class. So yeah guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys have understood a basic definition of class and an object, and how to define the properties of a class, and how to define or write the action methods inside the class. So if you have any doubts, please feel free to comment in the comment section, and if you like this video, please like and please do subscribe to my channel guys. So yeah guys, thank you so much.